Well, thank you everybody for kicking off Ad Week with us. My name is Katelyn Kroneman. I work at Snap, where I'm focused on connecting restaurant brands with our audience of nearly 350 million daily active users. Domino's is a fantastic partner to Snap, so I'm thrilled to share the stage today with Kate. And it's easy to be a leader in good times, but true leadership is shown when it's tested through COVID, labor shortages, and inflation. Kate, you and team have proven to be agile, resilient, and creative. So I'm excited to talk today about marketing leadership and hear your thoughts on that.
I'm excited to talk through it and have a little fun today. And if we have time at the end, we can open up for questions too.
Awesome. All right, so you have been at Domino's for over a decade, which means when you started at Domino's, TRL, Total Request Live, was still on. And I'm going to tell everybody that that's the stage that we were on today, if anybody asks. But tell me a little bit about how your role has changed at Domino's and how your thoughts on leadership have changed during that time.
Yeah, sure. So I've been with Domino's 11 years. And when I came from Procter & Gamble. I was in a, Hispanic marketing role, and it was an individual contributor role when I came to the brand. And so like anything, when you're in an individual contributor role, it's all about what you're doing, what your impact you're making. And the biggest thing you're thinking about is, okay, you have one boss. And I think the biggest change in 11 years is really, as I've grown in the organization, you have so many bosses, right? I think everyone can relate to that. It's less about doing, it's more about influencing and setting a vision, setting ambitious goals, but achievable goals. And I think trying to inspire and empower the people that work with you to bring everything to the next level. So I think about then it was just much simpler times, I think, across every business.
Yes.
And now, you have the board of directors, you have franchise boards, you have your own leadership team, you have your agency partners, and it's more complex, but it's also bigger opportunity to do more and do it with a aligned vision and having everyone kind of go towards that one goal. So
yeah, and leading during COVID and work from home and all the challenges it had, it truly is testing for the leadership. And as we've talked a little bit about today and some of the earlier presentations as well, of just, it is more of the wild, wild west, very unpredictable. The planning process used to be more stable. Mm-hmm. So what does it take to be an effective marketer today?
Yeah, I think you absolutely have to be resilient. You have to be really optimistic. Because I think you mentioned it, but in this environment, it's a supply chain issue, it's a labor shortage issue, it's increased costs across the board, food basket, whatnot. And so the best laid plans, just don't all end up working.
Right.
And so I think we all learned through COVID that you have to have your plans. You're 9 months out, you're 18 months out, in some cases 2 or 3 years when it's major innovation, product or technology. And you have that basic plan, but then, what I've learned through COVID is the importance of having options, and so making sure you have backup plans upon backup plans in the event something changes. And it happened over and over and over and over again to us during COVID.
That brings up another question that we talked a little bit about last week, which is just, the end consumer only sees the finished product. And there's varying levels of chaos and challenges that we know happen behind the scenes. It's not as easy as we all make it look, or certainly as you guys make it look. And sometimes those challenges actually push the work to that end product to be even greater. Are there any examples that come to mind of some great work that was born from challenging circumstances?
Yeah, I'll go back a little while to when COVID hit, right? And I think we can all remember the anxiety and advertising, figuring out what are we gonna do. We actually, I think, had the last commercial shoot before COVID happened. People were getting COVID on the shoot, and we didn't know if we could do it. It was our Noid Neuro shoot. So I don't know if you remember seeing our autonomous delivery vehicle. That was the last shoot. And I think, immediately got on the phone with our creative agency and said, let's write a brief together. Let's jointly take this on and figure out, in this moment of chaos and uncertainty, who does Domino's need to be? Like, what do we want to stand for? And what can we do to address what consumers are going through, and what are the tensions that consumers are feeling right now? And so we got on the phone and we went through some different iterations, but generally we came to the conclusion that, we're here to help. And how does a pizza company help in the beginning of COVID? Well, the first place was, all these restaurants were out of business, people lost jobs. We were hiring because, no one could leave their houses, and delivered food was on fire immediately. And then we said, well, how do you shoot when you can't shoot and you can't leave? And that was when we filmed the Now Hiring spot, which literally, like, we had this idea. A couple days later, we filmed on iPads. It was one of the first sort of Zoom-esque shoots at the time. And it was in our stores with different franchisees telling their story about, hey, come work here. And the production quality was terrible, but it was fresh, it was real, it was from the heart. We were able to do that because we said we want to do something. And Domino's is an actions company. We're going to take action, we're going to do something. And so that opened the door to wanting to keep doing things and taking risks and not being afraid to fail, honestly. And I'll tell you, it led us to doing another spot filmed at home. One of our creative directors, Darcy O'Neill, has 3 daughters. He filmed this amazing ad about contactless delivery with his girls. And it was about feeding a family of 4 for $3 per person. And they put on the whole ad. They were the delivery driver. One of them had a cast. It was so authentic and real. And it performed great, and it helped us keep speaking to consumers during this time in a very real and relevant way. We even had a contest where you could make your own films at home because people were stuck at home, and what are you supposed to do then? So to me, in that moment of chaos, if you really step back and try to figure out what's the one thing that you're trying to do, the simple focus, like we want to help, and you're willing to let go of doing things perfectly, it opens the floodgates for creativity.
Well, you guys saved many a meal times for me during COVID, so a belated thank you for that. I'm sure there's plenty of people in the audience who have been saved by Domino's. And during COVID, there was certainly a lot of togetherness in my house, a lot of pizza eating, and a lot of binge watching. Stranger Things was a huge hit for us. And my kids loved when Domino's launched their mind ordering lens on Snap and actually allowed them to be 11 and channel her inner superpowers. Can you talk to us a little bit about the Stranger Things partnership? And how did it fit? Like, how did it come to be, and how did it fit into your overall marketing strategy?
Awesome, yeah. So actually, with the first presentation this morning, really talked about how do you come across authentic to Gen Z, because they see so many marketers trying to just do the obvious. And, that's what I'm probably most proud of in that partnership. And I think when you think about it, the first thing you have to answer is, why are you doing a partnership, right? Because I think we all know partnerships can be amazing. They're a lot more work. There's a lot more approvals. There's a lot more oversight. There's a lot more, sometimes, difference of opinion creatively.
Two brands that you're having to protect, right? The Stranger Things brand, the Domino's brand.
Yeah, and how do you get there? And so I think, but when they work out, they can have such an incredible impact, right? So I think the reason our partnership works so well is we started talking and we really studied each other. They wanted to know what was important to Domino's, what matters to us, who our brand is. We wanted to know the same thing about Stranger Things and what themes. And the way we got to something so authentic was they were really transparent. They shared the scripts of season 4. Our teams went deep, right? We went on Reddit, we went on the boards, we really tried to understand what their fanatics cared about. And we got clear that we can't just slap a logo together with Stranger Things and have something that's meaningful. We had to take an action and do something that neither brand could do without the other. And what's cool about that, we're a pizza company, right? So you ask yourself, okay, what is a pizza company going to do with Stranger Things? And it was season 4 and there was Surfer Boy Pizza. That would be very obvious. But anyone could do that. What other pizza brands couldn't do is, I think, what we did, which was use our commitment to innovation and technology and build something, create something really authentic and experiential and not done before. And that's what mind ordering became, right? Something that our Gen Z audience could experience and the fanatics could find Easter eggs, and it was all very, very connected to every element that you would find in the show, to the point that, when we were negotiating it, I wanted us to try to guarantee we'd be on their fan sites, like we get our long form posted there, and they would not let us do that, right? So then that was like the aspiration, like we're gonna make something so true to Stranger Things in season 4 that they're going to want to post it because they believe in the creative so much. And it happened, which was, one of those amazing moments where you feel
huge
like
victory.
Yeah, like that you feel like this was the creative idea that we all dreamed of. But when you start in the beginning of a partnership, you have no idea where it's going, and you just have to really trust the other team and understand that both of your intentions are really pure, and be ready for anything, because everything does happen in a partnership.
Yeah.
Ups and downs.
I think when you touched on like the authenticity, that you wanted to make sure that the way in which you were showing up was authentic. It's so important when connecting with the younger generation. And we heard a little bit about it earlier today, that they can kind of see right through a brand that's trying too hard to be cool. But you guys did such a great job of making it really resonate. Gen Z is obviously a big focus for the broader advertising agency, and alignments with Stranger Things and deep partnerships with platforms like Snap connect you with them. But how have you had to change your marketing approach to really engage that younger demo?
Yeah, it's not, I don't have the silver bullet on this. I mean, I think all advertisers are dealing with this, especially if you are a pizza company or a QSR company that, in some ways we want to appeal to everyone with a stomach, right? We're a huge business, and we value all demographics. I think when you start to try to figure out how do you reach Gen Z and millennials, you've got to be where they are. It's where is their attention and what do they care about? And, we saw the list in the earlier session of the brands that really resonate and the channels that resonate, and Snap is one of them. Netflix is one of them. And at the time for us, couldn't advertise with Netflix. So Netflix wanted us to do that, to say, now you can.
That was a sign.
Soon you can. So at the end of the day, you just have to find where you can reach them. And sometimes that's connecting in through partnerships like we did with Stranger Things to find equities that, and they care about and that they want to spend time with. So it's leveraging data and trends and looking at things differently. So I'll continue to use the Stranger Things example. We copy test our TV, right? And if you copy tested our ads, which we did, with the broad demographic of 18 to 65, they didn't do that great, right? They were sort of middle of the pack. Is that a failure? Well, I guess it depends how you look at it, because our goal is to keep growing as a brand. We got to stay relevant and interesting and break through with Gen Z.
Build those loyal customers, the future customers.
And seem culturally relevant. And you can't do that if you're trying to be everything to everyone. So interestingly, we got that data point and we said, all right, let's cut the data. Let's cut the data by 18 to 49. Let's cut the data by people who watch Stranger Things. And when you cut the data, it was a top 20 ad for that broader demo. And for Fanatics, it was a top 10 ad. And even the post-window data shows that our brand is more relevant and more engaging, and just tons of positive sentiment with that demographic. So I think it's about finding where they are and relating to the influencers and the properties that they care about. But then it's also about challenging the way you've measured in the past, and measuring the right way to make sure you're delivering on that strategy.
Yeah, and you, as you said earlier, you guys are such an innovative brand. And you, as a partner, you guys continue to push us also to evolve the ways in which we're connecting you with our audience. And something that you guys did during your Stranger Things partnership that was so interesting is you took your 6-second spot, so your CTV, and you put it in the camera side of our platform and actually allowed for our users to participate in your storyline, which is just so powerful to change the way of kind of intercepting them where they are. And instead, you guys really pulled them in and engaged them in your storyline, which I think, again, speaks to the authenticity, but also speaks to the power of, like, let's bring this younger generation into our storyline, let them participate versus just talking at them. So kudos to you and team for really pushing into that new space.
Yeah, I mean, and kudos to your team for helping us, get there. I think the other thing about a partnership is if you give yourself enough time, it gets so much bigger than what you originally thought it could be. And because we started talking 2 years ahead, by the time we got to the idea, something like the Snap lens and all the different innovative ways we could work with Snap and some of our other immediate partners could come to fruition because we had the time to get the idea to a cool place, and then it just started to spread and expand. And I think a lot of times we're all on these crazy clocks. It's like, I had 6 months to launch something, and then you only scratch the surface for what's really possible.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny that was such a long process, but what I see when I think about Domino's and your work within the marketing team is you guys have been incredibly agile, whether it be things like your food safety messaging as soon as COVID hit, or even recently with your carryout tips campaign. Can you talk a little bit about, not every company can show that nimbleness, but you guys have been able to do it. It sounds like some things are planned a little bit farther in advance, but you're also able to strike this balance of meeting the consumer based on what they need today. Can you talk a little bit about that approach?
Sure. I mean, as you mentioned, we do plan a lot out. But I think back to even COVID hit, and we were fortunate, right? We already were a big delivery and carry out business, not dine in. And dine in's what really was pressured. But, you saw delivery explode, and carry out basically almost went away. It really softened. And we had to, you just had to understand what was on consumers' minds. They were scared. So we started safety messaging with, I never thought we'd be talking about the temperature of our ovens, but somehow we did. We created Carside Delivery, and we did that like in weeks, months. It was, teams had to come together and partner and get really clear on the MVP, the minimal viable product, to get that out the door, and to shoot it, in Atlanta, like the day after you could start shooting in Georgia. Every second counted. But what I think is fascinating is when, at that time, we pulled in consumers to start every week talking to them about what was on their mind and how things were changing and what they wanted out of their food experience. So whether it was branded masks or pizza pedestals, like all these little details to prove we were there for them and we cared about them. We started to come out of COVID, and you could see people were ready to leave their houses and it was time for carryout to come back. And it was the perfect time for carryout tips, right? Because this was a moment where labor shortage, couldn't get delivery drivers, huge conversation in the media. How about we tip carryout customers for doing their own delivery? Let's tip them $3, and so it was the right timing and moment. And it's really just about trying to understand, again, what's happening. Okay, they want to get out of their house. They want to move. They don't want to be stuck at home anymore. So how do we lean into those relevant insights and capitalize on it?
Yeah, you talked a lot about when we in our pre-call about identifying the consumer's point of friction and just trying to remove that. So this idea of the constant listening and then trying to weed out what is something that we actually can react and respond to. And you guys had great earnings last week, and within those earnings, we learned that your carryout business is just doing fantastic. So you're the champions of delivery, but now also champions of carryout. So another example of just how Domino's has been able to really excel in such challenging times. Mm-hmm. And trends continue to evolve. Anything that you can kind of predict, kind of be Nostradamus here of what's to come in the world of marketing? Any trends that you're looking at?
I mean, I wish I had a crystal ball. I think we all do, because we keep talking about recession and inflation and Ukraine, and you just don't know where this is all going to go. And I think depending on where it goes is where we have to go as advertisers. We, in the last few weeks, we've been running a ad around an inflation relief deal. So we know people are feeling it. They're feeling it at the grocery. They're feeling it at the pump. How can we do something and give an offer we've never given before to provide a little bit of relief? As I look forward, I am really excited. We plan some things. We have some amazing product innovation that's coming. And some of that innovation really leans into nostalgia. And I think nostalgia, it really never goes out of style, but it definitely doesn't go out of style when people are still feeling uncertain and worried about the economy and their own economic standing in the world, what's happening with the world. So I think nostalgia is going to continue to be important. I think we heard about it earlier today, Web3 and Metaverse, and where does that go? As privacy continues to be harder and harder for marketers to navigate, to do the personalization. How do we show up in ways that consumers come to us? We don't have to come to them as much, and that's about that the exchange of value. What are they getting, and for what we're getting from them? So those are some of the things. But I think the only way, you've got to keep on the trends. You've got to keep talking to consumers and listening and being where they are. To figure out what's the next tension or issue that we, as a brand, are positioned to resolve with action.
Awesome. Well, I know you talked a little bit about product innovation, but I'm going to ask what everybody's wondering and talk about some of your favorite products right now that Domino's had. So this is a little lightning round. What is your Domino's order?
Okay, my order almost always is a thin crust, pepperoni, jalapeno. Got to have ranch and hot sauce on the side.
Okay, ranch, dipping the pizza in ranch. That is a crowd favorite. Parmesan bites or Parmesan twists?
Parm bites every time.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Chocolate lava cake or marbled cookie brownie?
I don't know. Audience, lava cake?
Lava cake, okay. Not even a question.
Yeah. They're really good if you freeze them, by the way. Oh. Try it. Check it out.
Carry out or delivery?
I am 1,000% a delivery person. I am lazy. I'm busy. I don't want to do any work. And that's the beauty of the psychographic around delivery. It's let Domino's do everything and just let me know when it's 2 minutes away. People say to our tracker, so you know when to put your pants on and you're ready. You're ready for your pizza. My husband does delivery, or he does carry out, I think, just to escape our house with 3 kids.
Just about a 10-minute break, right? Just get out of there, drive in the car, listen to some music. I can appreciate that. So the last one's a bit controversial, but pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I say yes.
I say yes too. Anybody else in the crowd? Yeah, I got a little bit of yes. Some people love it. Some people are disgusted by it, but that's how I take my pizza is pineapple.
Just pineapple? You do ham?
No.
Fiery Hawaiian? No. Okay.
No, just straight up cheese and pineapple.
Simple.
Well, I think we have time for maybe one question, a question. So let's make it count. Any questions?
Thank you. Hi, Kate. So you discussed economic uncertainty and cultural relevancy quite a bit. So entertainment tends to be a recession-proof business. I'm curious if you guys would double down a little bit more on the entertainment side with product placement and the innovations you guys are doing in experiential.
Yeah, I think we would double down. It's funny you say double down. That's a big mantra at our company right now. It just has to be right. You know, we don't do a lot of partnerships for some of the reasons I shared before. And I think, again, being in the pizza category, I get emails every single day to do something. And the tricky part, and so maybe this is a cautionary tale, but you get on a call and there's a logo from a competitive brand or they talk about a product that's not on your menu. And it just feels like there's just a desire to partner with someone in QSR. And those are the partnerships we don't want, right? We want someone who gets what's unique about Domino's and wants to build something that's never been done before, that's unexpected for a pizza company. And often those are the things that are really hard. But there are some incredible entertainment brands who have great broad appeal. And if you're willing to go deep with us, and it won't be easy, I think we're interested. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Kate. And here's to another decade of success at Domino's.
Oh, thank you, Katelyn.